What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode 16 of our Liverpool FC playthrough here in Football Manager 2018. And well, the beta is over. As you can see in the bottom left, there is no longer a watermark. Of course, this is the end of season review for season 1. I'm still not decided if this is the last season. Today, I want to take a chance to just look over the tactic that we used, of course, how we got on over the course of the season, just a bit of a look back at where things could have gone better, standout players, a few of the surprises along the way. I, of course, asked last episode if you guys wanted to see another season. A lot of people said that you wanted to see another season. However, with the full game launching, I am going to have a show Let's Play coming out, which you may have seen the first episode of, kind of the introductory episode earlier on today. I want to focus on that series at least initially. I think with the Liverpool save that we have going on here, I may bring it back as something that we upload maybe once or twice a week, or I may even consider streaming it in the next few weeks. I'd be interested to know what you'd like to see. Of course, if I do stream it over on Twitch, I will be sure to upload the VODs to my YouTube channel. But anyway, here we are. It's the end of season, and well, it was a good season, wasn't it? All in all, you can see here, Oxlade-Chamberlain did miss out on the World Cup. I was a little bit sad about that, but generally speaking, looking back on this year as a whole, it was a good year. It was a very good year. You can see here, Salah won the Champions League Golden Boot Award. He got 12 goals and 3 assists. And I think he really was the surprise package. You kind of look at him, he has the makings of a great player in Football Manager. And, well, to really see him perform, I think, was pretty exciting. Of course, playing as an inside forward, a role that, in the last few FMs, I'll be honest, I've shied away from. But we made it work with the system that we've been playing here at Liverpool. And I definitely feel like I need to explore it further in FM18. So in terms of players in the dream team here for the Champions League, Coutinho and Firmino, not that surprising. A little odd that Salah isn't in the dream team, I must admit. Of course, Bobby here had a very good year, got a 7.5 average rating in the Champions League. Coutinho got a 7.73 and was a really kind of standout player. Of course, we kind of migrated him back to that centre mid role, playing him deeper in the pitch, and he really made it work, playing as that kind of centre mid. He's obviously an incredibly talented player, Coutinho. And yeah, despite the decline in his performances in training as of late, you can see all his attributes on the down. I feel like this year getting 7 goals, 6 assists and a 7.41 average rating really indicates the fact that he did make that centre mid role his own. Moreno also getting in the team of the year for the kind of Champions League. A bit of a surprise. Of course, you can see here he broke into the Spanish national team. Got a 7.39 average rating in the league, but that's 7.55 rating across 12 games in the Champions League. Really a standout. He was a surprise package. You kind of look at him, Moreno. He's always been, at least in my opinion, a tad overrated in Football Manager the last few years. I feel like this year he's not that great. You kind of look at him, don't get me wrong, he looks solid, but I wouldn't say he's a kind of standout world-class left-back, but he kind of put in the performances of a world-class left-back over the course of the season, which was very, very pleasing indeed. You can see here other awards. Did we get any? You can see actually we did get Firmino in the forwards of the year. And actually we had Salah and Coutinho finish in the top midfielders of the year for the Champions League. So that was nice. In terms of club awards, I mean, if this happens in real life, I don't want to live on this planet anymore. But Moreno has won the Fans Player of the Year with 37% of the vote. Coutinho got 28%. Salah got 22%. Goal of the season was by Coutinho against Northampton. Now this was scored during the beta. As a result, the goal might not play back as it happened in game. We'll find out. We'll see if the match engine... Oh, okay, it will. This is the goal of the year. I don't care what anyone says. Look at the timer in the top left. That's all I'm going to say. 13 seconds into the game, that flew in. Can we watch it again? Is there a rewind button that's conveniently placed? I just have to... What a goal. I think I said actually at the time it was one of the best goals I've seen in Football Manager so far this year. I don't know if I'll see a better goal than this in Football Manager this year. Picked it up out wide, just drifted inside and unleashed an absolute cannon. Very Coutinho-esque in real life, I've got to be honest. But yeah, that was a good little thing. Of course, that was back in the beta match engine. Signing of the year was Kasper Dolberg, which is good to see because he was the big transfer that we brought in. We paid £18.25 million, but with all the various clauses, that will definitely climb. And he did well. 9 goals, 2 assists. A lot of these appearances were on off the bench as well. He did get 16 goals in all competitions as well, which is definitely worth noting, including 4 in the Champions League. And our young player of the year was Alexander Arnold, who of course came into the first team with Klein injured for the first few months of the season. And, well, he really forged an opportunity for himself. He did kind of get phased out of the first team as Joe Gomez and Klein battled for that right-back position. But at 19 years old, he's a very talented player in real life. And in Football Manager, he was very good for us. And I think he deserved that Young Player of the Year. In terms of our personal season review, you can see here, we were amongst the leading contenders for continental football qualification, and to finish second is really good. Of course, the aim at the start of the year was merely to finish top 4, and we've done that fairly comfortably by 10 points in the end. I will say, to finish behind Manchester United by 2 points is disappointing, and it's made more disappointing when you kind of look at some of the games that we lost. The games that you just feel like you shouldn't have lost. You know, losing to Huddersfield away 2-0, losing to West Brom away 2-0. I guess the defeats against the likes of City, Chelsea, United, you can't really look at them too harshly, but certainly, you know, Newcastle away, Southampton away, a lot of these away fixtures just, they cost us in the end. You know, the draw against Watford, the draw against Burnley away from home. I mean, when you look at our home form, it was really, really impressive this year. It's just a shame that we were let down. In fact, looking at that home form is absolutely incredible. We lost one home game all year, and we didn't draw any home games either. I didn't realise it was that good. It was just the away form that, unfortunately for us, was out and doing over the course of the season. You know, lots of needless draws against Stoke. It's a little bit of a regretful thing. It does make me wonder if I would have been better kind of having an away tactic and maybe warning the players a little bit more against complacency. Maybe that's food for thought going forward, but I feel like that's the beauty of FM, you know. Sometimes you have to kind of think things through and think about where perhaps things went wrong. Anyway, let's have a look at what else is going on here. If we look at the Champions League, we did very well in the Champions League, let's be honest. We got to the final. Of course, we lost to PSG last episode. But looking at this as a whole, this was a really impressive run, you know, all the way from the start of it against Hoffenheim. Not the easiest of qualifiers, but we came through that largely unscathed. The group stage could have been a group of death. Juventus and Atletico were terrifying opposition, but we grinded out some good results. Of course, we did lose against Atletico in the group stage in the last game where we already knew we topped the group. However, a rather kind draw against Ludogorets set us up for a kind of quarter-final against Bayern, and you'd have to say the results against Bayern and Atletico really, really impressive. You know, the amount of goals we scored, we really did overpower them. 7 goals scored against Bayern over 2 games. Atletico, you know, 6 goals scored against them. And yeah, I mean, you've just got to give the players massive applause. I feel like the tactic itself just worked really well this year. Of course, with the match engine now changing, this tactic might not be as effective as it was for us back at the start of the game during the beta. I will say, however, this tactic is on the Steam Workshop, so if you want to check it out, if you search WorkTheSpace on the Steam Workshop, you can download this tactic to try out yourself. I'd be interested to know what success you have with it now the full game's out. You know, the match engine always changes slightly. You never know if tactics become less effective or more effective when stuff like that happens. So if you have been using it, maybe you are already subscribed to it on the Steam Workshop, let me know how you're getting on. Of course, as I said, the inside forwards were a bit of an experiment, you know, something different. You know, roaming from position, sit narrower, marking the fullbacks. It was something that I kind of tried on a hunch. I wanted to see if we could make the inside forwards play as narrow as possible and, you know, still do a job defensively. And I feel like having them sit narrow, having them roam from position, really saw them get into the final third and drift inside far more frequently than they normally would. That, of course, combined with the fact that we had them marking the fullbacks meant they were always really high up the pitch. And I feel like that kind of tells. When you look at, you know, the stats here, Salah, 22 goals, 14 assists. Mane, not quite such a great season. 12 goals for him, 8 assists, but still a 7.37 average rating. Nothing to be scoffed at. When we look at the average ratings, you can see Salah and Coutinho leading the way. Grujic did okay when we called upon him. Of course, a player who we played in a lot of the easier games of the year. He was a rotation option, but the 22-year-old Serbian is a very talented centre-mid. Of course, Moreno right up there. De Ligt played fairly well. Of course, he only played 6 games. We brought him in this year, and I thought he might feature a little more frequently in the first team, but due to the injuries that he had, due to just how well in form our defence was, it was difficult to find an opportunity for him. Henderson also doing well, of course, started playing that deep line playmaker role for us, did evolve in the second half of the season into the box-to-box midfielder role, but I feel like across this season he really showed his credentials as just a super talented centre midfielder. In Football Manager, he is incredible. He just, you know, does the business for you. Anyway, you can see a few of the other players who played well. Woodburn did well, of course, went out on loan for the second half of the season, ended up at West Ham. You can see he developed really well over the course of this season. Other players like Dolberg did well, Robinson did well as well, obviously the Scottish international. Seri did fairly well, 7.38 average rating for him, of course, another one of the new signings that we brought in. £16 million for a player who averages a 7.39 average rating across 31 league games. Really isn't that bad. Of course, here you can see runner-up in the English Premier League. Of course, we did win the FA Cup, a nice run there, although it was a nice kind of run all the way really to the final, where of course we beat a 10-man Chelsea side. I'm a little bit annoyed that we lost in the third round of the Carabao Cup, but of all the cup competitions we were involved in, it wasn't exactly a priority. You can see in terms of the kind of dynamics here in the squad, things have been very good. The atmosphere in the dressing room has been great. Players are kind of all getting on with each other. Managerial support's been good. And I feel like actually when you look at the team and look at appearances, the team's been very heavily rotated this year, but that really hasn't been at the detriment of our side. Everyone has been given a chance to play. And when they've played, they've taken it and they've played very well. You can see players like Lovren did well, Grujic we talked about already. Sturridge perhaps a little bit of a letdown this year. But generally speaking, you know, players like Oxlade-Chamberlain and Wijnaldum, not necessarily nailed down starters, but they really forged out successful seasons. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain with 14 goals and 10 assists, Wijnaldum with 10 goals from centre mid. I feel like that's a really impressive turnaround, and I feel like this year with this Liverpool squad, we really got the balance right in the squad as a whole. We were able to rotate the team frequently, keep everyone happy. There really wasn't any reason to complain, and I feel like that positive attitude that the team had in terms of dynamics, in terms of social groups, in terms of hierarchy, that really played into the successes that we had this year. You know, you kind of look, De Vrij emerged as a team leader, of course, did take up vice captaincy, and the 26-year-old made that his own, came in for £16 million, of course, only had 1 year left of his contract at Lazio, and he played great for us, and that in itself is just really, really kind of fantastic to see. And also good to see, you know, some younger players moving up the pyramid. The likes of Joe Gomez finding himself in the first team this year. Players like Arthur, who of course joined us. Alexander Arnold joining the first team, joining the ranks here. When you look at social groups, you know, it's a largely united dressing room. I must admit, this does seem to have changed a bit, you know, during the beta, the way the dynamics works. But all the players, for the most part, are gelling together as part of a core squad, and you know all the different groups are well happy with each other. You can see here, looking at the general happiness, there's a few players with a few doubts. The likes of Lallana, a player who, you know, if I do play another season on stream or here on YouTube, probably would be moved on. He just doesn't quite fit in. But with the exception of him, for the most part, and maybe even Lovren as well, he kind of falls into that similar bracket. And actually carries. You can see the playtime for those three players a little bit dissatisfied, but everyone else super happy with it, and that's pretty good going in Football Manager. I feel like getting, you know, everyone happy with the kind of amount of football they get is almost an impossible task at times, and we did a pretty good job of it all in all. Anyway, you can see here, looking at the board confidence, very, very positive across the board. You can see here the major highlight being the win over Bayern Munich, the draw against Burnley, a bit of a dark mark against our name. But yeah, looking at it here, the atmosphere in the dressing room and also the tactics are very, very popular. You know, the people were very happy with the tactic. The only downside was the lack of possession, but that was something that was never really an aim with the tactic that we were playing. And I feel like when you look at this confidence, there really isn't an area in managing this club that we failed at in this first year, which is a good sign. Obviously, this year, Football Manager has changed a little bit. I know some people are struggling. I feel like, for me, I found this 4-3-3 tactic that just worked with the players that we had. You know, Mane and Salah out wide, using their pace, using the likes of Coutinho and Firmino to really pull the strings down the middle of the side. And it just kind of worked, and it just kind of clicked, and we rolled with it. We were fairly fortunate with injuries. The start of the year, we were kind of filled with them, but by using the medical centre, by rotating the team, resting players between games, we avoided a hell of a lot of injuries this year that would have been a risk. You can see here, looking at the injuries, there was a few players, obviously Lallana, Klein injured when we started the save. De Ligt obviously broke his foot and actually had 5 injuries in total, again really reinforcing that idea that the reason he wasn't featuring so much in the team was because of all the injuries he was having. But besides that, you know, lots of shorter term injuries. We avoided, you know, any real major ones, and that's got to be a you know, super positive to look back on. In terms of training, all the players happy with the training, players improving across the park in all different areas of the pitch, which is great. Tactical familiarity, fairly solid, all things considering. Lallana and Lovren struggling, but given the fact that they are on their way out and they're kind of unhappy, it's not entirely surprising that they're not putting their utmost into the training kind of sessions that we have. But yeah, I feel like, for a beta save, you never really know quite what to expect. It's a bit of a venture into the unknown. And I feel like, obviously managing Liverpool, a team that I know, been able to kind of use a tactic that worked really nicely. I've been able to, get to grips with the new dynamics, which is nice. That was certainly something that I wanted to do with this, and I feel like I succeeded in dealing with it. There's only 4 players who are unhappy, and that is the only kind of negative mark across the entirety of the dynamics overview screen, and that's a pretty positive thing all in all. But anyway, guys, if I do another episode and another season or 2 or 3, as I said, I will let you guys know very soon. I will put a link to the save game at this point down in the description, so if you want to continue on the save for yourself, feel free to. I'd be interested to know how you guys get on. If you've enjoyed this video, of course, leave a like. If you've enjoyed this series, leave a like. I know some people are a little dubious about the bigger team saves. However, the Liverpool save was a really popular one, and I do encourage you to keep an eye out for So Show, which will be coming your way probably starting tomorrow. It's a series which, if you've already watched the introductory kind of video that went up earlier on today, is going to be very different to this, but it's going to have its own unique selling points in a league that I've not managed before. If you're sat there thinking, it's in France, I'm not that interested, second division side, I encourage you to check it out. The youth development with that is going to be unique. If you want to learn about player development, that is certainly going to be a focus. We're going to be experimenting with some new tactical systems. It's a venture into the unknown with me, in terms of the fact I've not managed in Ligue 1 before on YouTube in Football Manager. And, well, I'm really excited to get started with it. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap things up from me. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, smash the like button. If you'd like to see more, as I said, let me know down in the comments. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.